Hi, everybody. I'm Mel Doerr, the Aloha shirt psychic, and I've got Linda Grindel in the house.
Hola, hola.
So, Linda, you're feeling a little under the weather yesterday, huh?
Oh my God. It's like too bad I wasn't a drunk because it was like I was a drunk. And when I got up, I wasn't just because I've been having vertigo. And you guys, this is how I stop it. I put that finger right here. Sometimes even when I'm in bed, when I turn side to side, all of a sudden it starts. As soon as it starts, I do this, stops. So I got up and I wasn't dizzy. I start to walk and I'm going right. I'm going up against my armoire. I was bouncing off of it. So I had to hold things because I had to pee. So I was just, holding different furniture to get to the toilet. And when I came back, I still was off kilter. I was off kilter.
That's happened to me. I have Meniere's syndrome, and I used to get dizzy spells really bad when I was younger, but it affects your hearing. And I can't diagnose, but with you, it could be Meniere's or something called benign paroxysmal positional
That's
vertigo.
what the doctor was saying. Yeah.
But
But
it's
it wasn't a stroke. That's the main thing. I
it's
did, because I was an ER nurse, I did the test to see if I had any signs of a stroke, and I did not.
it's hard to diagnose BPPV, benign paroxysmal positional vertigo, as opposed to Meniere's. But blow some hot air in your ear.
Yeah, you were telling me that.
If you get a little bit dizzy, it's
I
probably
just got to get my hunk of burning love over here to blow the hot air in my ear.
you need a
'Cause
man to blow some hot
I
air.
want to make it worth it. You know what I'm saying?
I said blow hot air in the ears.
That's what I'm saying. Shoot.
Anyway, yeah, I've been getting those. I used to have really bad spells of vertigo, and I've been getting a few lately as well. So, and
Well, let me
dizziness.
tell you something. I love my readers and my subscribers. I will tell you, somebody sent me a real good article. I'll send it to you about what's going on energetically out there in the universe. And it is not a pretty picture. And
Well,
right now, going into the 7th, we could very possibly be in an earthquake because there's some sort of positional thing with the moon and the earth and the sun. And I didn't know plasma plays a big part of it.
what does?
Plasma does. Plasma out there in the universe. It gets charged and it comes back. So apparently, between the moon getting ionized and coming back on the earth and the flares coming from the sun, we got that could, because you're not the only one. Somebody wrote me, oh, Dan, our guy Dan,
Yeah,
he said he was walking sideways.
I get that too. So what I did for just one day, I know people don't do this at home, please. But I thought, I wonder if it's some of the medications I'm taking. So there's one I can take every other day. I'm supposed to take every day. So I laid off of it for a couple days, and that seemed to help. So I was thinking maybe I was dehydrated. So I started drinking lots of fluid and potassium. Low potassium can do that too. So I took.
It's so funny. I just started taking potassium and I had that thing happen.
Well, if you're on a diuretic, it can deplete your potassium. So I don't know, but yeah, it's you, me, and then our friend Dan. So something's in there.
Yeah, Dan was walking sideways himself. I'm like, well,
No,
but remember, he just got over COVID.
I've had it so bad I had to crawl. I mean, I couldn't even move.
Oh, I just read a client that she said she was literally on the floor crawling. I remember just vomiting and vomiting. And I didn't know this part yet. And I was spinning so bad.
Oh yeah, that vertigo is like everything's moving around, and it's like, oh, it's like being on a tilt-a-whirl and you can't get off.
Yeah, yeah.
It can be debilitating. People don't
I
realize,
know.
but anyway,
It's
I'm glad.
terrible. You don't want to be driving with that happening.
Well, I guess there was some scuttlebutt. People thought you had a stroke, but I'm glad you didn't. And so
Oh yeah, somebody, I think when I told my members, because I was supposed to do pick a card. And when I told my members I couldn't do it because I'm going to go to the doctors because something's happened. I said, I ruled out a stroke. Because, when you start falling to the right side, you think in terms of stroke. I said, I ruled it out because I could do the test. And somebody seemed to have taken that, and I don't feel like it was malicious at all. They were just
No, no, just
and they told other readers that I had a stroke. So my poor friends are writing me, "Oh my God, Linda, I heard you had a stroke." No, I haven't. Where'd you hear that? Well, somebody said. I said no, so I wrote a thing on my page and said, "You guys, I just want to clear this up." But I don't think it was malicious. I think somebody heard stroke.
they just heard stroke and they didn't hear
They
the
heard
rest.
stroke and they got scared.
Well, I just thought I cleared up today. So actually, everybody, I knew about it, but here's the way I am. If somebody calls me, I won't make it. I knew about Linda's vertigo, but I
Right.
won't make it public because quite frankly, I won't do that unless somebody tells me it's okay.
Right. Well, like I asked Dan when he got COVID, is it okay? Because I want prayers for him.
No, it's different. You ask for his permission, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I know that we could talk about it now. So
Well, I posted it to my members, but somebody got outside the box and told readers. And they were asking for prayers. They weren't doing this maliciously.
no, I know. I don't think it was malicious. I just think people were concerned. But I'm glad you're
I
feeling
could have played that up though,
for me.
Then chocolate.
Bodacious Tata.
Oh, and they also said I have the big ass head syndrome.
I know. I love that. Is there a cure?
I asked them, can I do a telephone read with doctors? And they got me black marked now because remember the last time I had a physical with my doctor on the phone, I showed up stark naked. And he said, "Linda, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm having my physical, aren't I?"
Hey, I go and the doctor says, take your clothes off. The nurse and I need a good laugh. So
I'm like, "Hey, what's that lump down here?"
it's like, roll them up. Hey, our humor's here. So guess what?
Yeah, sorry, you guys. What are you guys doing? I'm on with Auntie Mel.
I see your doggies.
They usually don't start bugging me until I'm done with the read. Let me open the door in case it's just so cold outside.
What's the temperature there?
I think it's in the 50.
Oh, that's not bad.
Hold on 1 second now.
No problem. While Linda's on a technical break.
Yeah, look up our question.
All right, I got a really good one, by the way.
Okay.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes, everybody, with Linda and Mel. So,
okay, so I got them outside.
All right. So I've got a really good question from John Moreland. I really love this question. John says, that's what he says. No, I'm extremely concerned living in a state that is trying to pass anti-LGBTQ laws through banning drag performances. Are we really going down a dangerous road where ultimately one can be seen as breaking the law for just being gay? That's a really good question.
Yeah, and listen, all this hoopla over it is only attracting the real red people. And this too shall pass, trust me. Even the abortion thing's gonna pass. I don't want you guys to worry about it, but yeah, they're infringing on people's rights.
I remember in Texas, they had an anti-sodomy law, and I think it was in the early 2000s. And, this police officer burst into a gay couple's house and found them in bed, and they were in their own bedroom, and arrested them for the anti-sodomy laws. And it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says that you can't, that you have no jurisdiction of what two consenting adults are doing in their bedroom. So the anti-sodomy law was overturned. And I can see states trying that crap.
Was he allowed to break in? What was he?
I don't even know. I don't know why. I don't know if he broke in, but he went into their home, and I don't know I got to research it and see what was behind it all. But anyway, he arrested them for the anti-sodomy laws. And, they took it all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, no, the cop couldn't do that. And that you can't control what people do in their bedroom to consenting adults. So it was overturned, the anti-sodomy laws. And so I think some states are going to try to reinstate that. But remember, if it goes to the higher court, they're going to say no.
Yeah,
People like Clarence Thomas, but it
Yeah.
is a dangerous path.
all right.
You know, I think that the drag queen thing in the drag performance law, it's illegal to do it. I forget, in public. I think if that goes to the Supreme Court, that'll be overturned as well, because it's really trying to limit people's freedom of expression, and you can't do that.
Right, exactly.
And then who was that politician, Knowles or something, who said that all transgender people should be eradicated? He just did that in that CPAC meeting. And then he tried to backpedal and say he didn't mean it that way.
Yeah, and there's another guy that said we need to bring back lynching, hanging somebody from a tree.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, when Hitler was in power in Nazi Germany, a lot of his top people had something called the Wannsee Conference. And that's where they came up with a final solution they call it the final solution to eradicate Jewish people. And when this Knowles, or whatever his name is, said that about, you know, eradicating transgender people, I thought, oh my God, it's like it's reminiscent of what happened in Nazi Germany, and it's frightening. It's very frightening.
I can imagine, yeah.
You know, I say live and let live, and so now he's trying to backpedal. But
the only thing is, these people who are so anti-gay and this and that, they're the ones that are found molesting children and all this stuff. There's so many of them that have been put up the creek because they've, you know, they were raping a 10-year-old, that one guy.
yeah, you know what? And there's another guy in the Republican Party who is so anti-gay, but yet he was groping. You know, he's accused of
Groping a guy that was working for that gentleman. Yeah.
Correct. So, you know, it's like our friend Jim said, these politicians don't give one hoot about transgender, about abortion. They don't. They're just pandering to that ultra right-wing Christian nationalist BS because they want to keep the power. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still frightening.
You know who's frightening is Ron DeSantis too. That's frightening.
Can't say gay. You can't read Catcher in the Rye.
Oh, when he was in California, he was like, you know, blah, blah, the woke. He doesn't like the woke.
Yeah, but your governor there really put him in his place.
What did he say?
I don't know, but I heard that the governor in California really put DeSantis in his place. So
because he was talking trash about our governor.
I know. So saying that, people are asking if Trump will be the GOP nominee. And Trump said at a CPAC conference that he would run even if he's indicted.
Right.
So people want to know if he's going to be the nominee.
I hope he is, because he'll lose. What are you picking up?
Well, I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't see him as president again. I see him indicted.
He will not be, and he's got a rough road ahead of him too. Remember what Andre said about his sign. Things are really, this month and the next month are getting really ugly.
Oh, does that mean Trump's going to go down the river, the card that you pulled?
Yeah, well, it's not a smooth. He'll never be president again. I heard that as clear as day.
Mm-hmm. It's just, I never thought in my lifetime we would be having this conversation about what's going on in this country.
I know, it's really sad.
That's a card of disappointment. Is that disappointment because but
you know, I even noticed like on MSNBC and stuff, they're already talking about Trump running again, and that's why are we going there? We got too much time left, and why are you making people afraid? They love that. That's how they make their money.
It's true. That is true.
Just forget about it.
You pulled the three of swords. That's does that mean disappointment?
Disappoint. I think he might have a heart problem myself.
Yeah, I've been worried about his health.
Yeah.
Okay. Jim Goss says, hello, Melon Linda. This is a good one too.
What?
Your cousins and you'll like this. In 1835, Congress obligated the Cherokee Nation to have a delegate in Congress in the House of Representatives. Congress has not honored this treaty even today. Well, they probably won't. The current principal chief has requested this, but this has not happened. When do the spirits say that Cherokees will get their seat in Congress? He says Watto, which must mean thank you in Cherokee. That's a good question, because a lot of the treaties that were made with the Native Americans were broken or not honored, and
Yeah, exactly. So when, I don't know when, but there's a lot of Native Americans going into the administration. It's coming up.
Well, at some point, I do think they'll have a seat in the House, but I don't know how they'll figure out who gets a seat and how many or whatever. But I do at some point see it taking place, but it's going to take a long time, and not with this House, by the way.
No, not with those idiots.
I think all Native American tribes should be represented.
Well, they're still paying people like me from the US Treasury our land, our native land that was given to us by the United States of America in the 1800s, that they're handling the leases. They're handling the people that can drill on it. And they're taking in the money and doling it out to us. Why? Why are they in charge of it?
They shouldn't be. They should just give it back to the tribes. And
Yeah.
that was truly, if you read that book, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, it was written in the 70s. It's a
I
really,
remember that one. Yeah.
that was truly an American Holocaust against the Native Americans.
Yeah.
We've had our Holocaust here too. Look what we did with the slaves. So I do see a lot of the tribes banding together to have a lot more rights for Native Americans. So I'm all for that, by the way.
Yeah, and Empire of the Summer Moon, it really talks about the Comanches, and that the Comanches were mean.
They were the Lord of the Plains.
The Comanches didn't mess, and we fought other tribes before the white man got here.
Of course, there were tribal wars, but
yeah, but Comanches were mean, and then when the white man was saying, "Well, here's your treaty," and then lied about it, that anybody that knows Comanche people, they don't forget.
Well, like, the white people lied about all the treaties pretty much.
Yeah.
They eradicated certain tribes, but it's funny. When there's a white buffalo born, that means a unification. They're born white, but then they change colors. There was one born up in Wisconsin about 15 or 20 years ago. And that means a unification of all the tribes. And at some point, I see the tribes unified. I mean, I think they'll still be able to keep their identity, but unify, like sending representatives to the House and to Congress. That's what I see.
Right. Well, we're not growing as a nation. We're filtering out because they're look at me. My father was white. So, they're interbreeding or whatever. You don't get too many Comanche and Comanche. Now, my cousin, my uncle Toby, he married a Comanche woman. And so my cousins are like 100%.
Well, that's what happened to the Hawaiians. There's not a lot of true Hawaiians left, except on the island of Niihau. And so, a lot of times, like with the Native American tribes, the languages are lost because.
Yeah. Oh, listen, this my tribe. I have the paperwork. I have to sit down. They'll do anything. If I lived on down in Lawton, I could go to classes all the time. They are really emphasizing on learning the language again.
See, I believe in holding the language. In the 70s, there was a singer called Iz, and he came out in Hawaii and started singing Hawaiian. And now in some of the schools in Hawaii, I don't know if it's some public schools or whatever, but half a day is taught in Hawaiian. So they're preserving the language, as well as they should. I mean, there's so many native languages that have been lost.
Right.
See the movie Spirit Talker. That is so good. There were the Navajos that they hired during World War II.
Yeah. And there's Comanches that were, we have a lot of
Wind Talkers or Spirit Talkers. I forget what they called.
We went in battle. The Comanches did.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We went to the battle. I don't know what the other tribe did. They were part of it, but I know our tribe went in battle. There was a lot of them killed in battle.
Okay, Sarah Ellis, this is okay. This is a good question, but she says, hi, Linda and Mel. My landlady's dog, after 2 years, still barks constantly when left alone. Well, that's separation anxiety. I can't complain again. It just makes her angry and more determined to not solve the problem. I can't go to the authorities like the local tenants association or local animal control, because if they find out she does not report rent income to the IRS, those of us who rent from her will be evicted. Ooh, what can you suggest?
Damn. And how long is she gone? Probably for a long time.
I'm sorry?
Is she going to work or something?
She must be. It sounds like the dog's got separation anxiety, but actually you can go to the authorities because and if she gets rid of you, that's retaliatory.
Yeah.
You're still a tenant there and you have rights. So I wouldn't worry about, I don't know what you can do with animal control, but a tenants association, I would talk to them because she might try to evict people, but if they take her to court, then the courts are going to say she
And I
has
hope
to-
she's taping this. She's taping this
correct.
dog barking and barking and barking.
And here's the deal. I know sometimes it's hard to find affordable places to rent, but I see this lady getting in a lot of trouble, the landlady. And so I see you finding another place to rent.
Right.
Around the same.
The thing is, if tables were turned and someone else's dog was barking and barking and barking, that landlady would have them out lickety split.
Correct. That's right. But the poor dog has separation anxiety. That's why it's barking all the time when she's gone.
Is there some sort of class the dog can take, or?
Well, I mean, it depends on how old the dog is, and you can, there are ways that you can try to prevent the dog from having separation anxiety. But it sounds to me like the landlady is just stubborn and very passive aggressive. And so I'd hate to be a dog in her house. I'd hate to be a tenant. It sounds like kind of like a boarding house situation or something.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe it's an apartment building or something.
Yeah,
But you still have rights.
exactly.
I see this woman getting into a lot of trouble.
But is it during the daytime that this woman's going through this?
It doesn't say.
Okay.
But dog, I mean, as much as I love dogs, a dog barking incessantly can dance on your last half raw nerve.
I know.
Okay, so Jay has 2 weather-related questions. How are they ever going to get those people snowed under several feet of current snow out west, with several more feet of snow heading that way again this week? In other words, she wants to know how they can get them out. Well, you have to dig them out, obviously, right?
This is down south in California, or?
It says she just says out west. I guess they had some major snowstorms out west.
There was a bunch of a town that was actually stuck because.
Yes, that's what she's asking about.
And what do you call the military's in there now digging them out and bringing food and helicoptering it in.
And then she says, what's causing all this abnormal weather? Well, it's climate change.
It's climate change, yeah.
And
also, don't forget, I think you said it and I said it, a big weather changes, and it's going to continue.
Right.
It hailed out here about 3 times. I mean, hailed.
It is gonna. Oh yeah, you sent me that.
That video.
Yeah. Wow. It's it's climate change.
Yeah.
So Tammy Osborne wants to know, when will indictments start being served?
Oh, they keep asking it, and I wish I could tell them. I wish I could tell you. I can tell you it will happen. I can't tell you when.
Well, I think what Trump is trying to do is hoping they'll run out the clock.
Well, he wants to fight on Pence talking to our guy, Jack Smith, he wants Pence to, he's trying to go in there and say executive privileges was a bunch of crap.
That's not going to work. But what's going to happen if he's indicted? He's going to keep trying to get continuance after continuance after like he always does, so that he can hopefully run out the clock. But you know what Trump is doing right now? I watched some of his talk at that CPAC, like almost he made it sound like he was Jesus. I'm gonna, I'm the God, and I'm.
Did you notice how red-faced he was?
We know, but Trump does what he always does. The D's, I call them the D's: deceive, divert, detract, distract, and divide.
Right.
And that's what he's doing. So
I'm gonna build some beautiful buildings, some beautiful cities. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Well, you were in there. You had your chance, sucker.
Oh, just like next week, I'm going to come out with a plan to place Obamacare, and we're still waiting, right?
Yeah.
All right.
I remember Barbara Wawa talking to him and the family, and he said, I'm going to have the best health program ever.
Well, in Italian, we do something, and it goes like this with his best health program. Right? Okay. Artist wants to know. Hi, Linda and Mel. I'm wondering if Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott will ever be held accountable for their kidnapping and human trafficking of the legal immigrants. Thank you so much.
You what?
Okay. Hi, Linda and Mel. I'm wondering if Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott will ever be held accountable for their kidnapping and human trafficking of the legal immigrants.
Yeah, it's about a year or two away, but it's coming.
Okay. I think so too. I
Yeah.
see them both out. Okay. Well, this is a personal question, but we can go ahead and answer it, I guess. Sharon Westman says, I love you too. Thank you. I'm 68, divorced, 10 years, friends with my ex. He wants us to move in together. Divorced. Do I do this? Well, I can't answer if you should do it or not, but it's like, what didn't you learn from the first time when you divorced them? And
well, they won't be married. It's better to be divorced and live together if they get along okay. Takes the stress off the money they have to put out. There's a lot of couples that are divorced that live together.
I'm not getting a good feeling with it, but I can't tell you.
Okay. All righty.
Okay. Oh, this is good. Tina Mexico. She says, good morning from Mexico. Hope you're both well. Do you see any major earthquakes in Mexico?
Any earthquakes in Mexico? Heck yeah.
Any major earthquakes in Mexico?
Yeah.
This year?
This year.
I
see Mexico. I see could be central or more northern California. Definitely. But it's not going to be like Turkey.
No, it's not going to be like that. No. But I see earthquakes in northern Mexico and down near the Baja Peninsula and all that. So
right.
This year.
Yeah, there's earthquakes coming, sweetie. I don't want you to be. I know who Tina is. She's a doll.
But I think you'll be safe.
She's always on our lives. She's so fun.
Hi, Tina. Okay, Elaine Arnoldi wants to know who will be the Republican nominee for president. I don't know. That depends on the lineup, but I don't know.
You know, I don't know why Mike Pence's face came into me. I don't know why I saw Mike Pence.
Because I think they're questioning him. But, with that CPAC yesterday, some Republicans didn't go, but it looked like Trump was their heir apparent. But I don't know. It just, my jury's out on whether or not he'll get it or not.
I don't see patent leather boots getting in. I think Trump will get in and then it'll all get messed up because of all the lawsuits and everything he's going through. Well, they're going to fall apart. This is beautiful. I'm going to tell you right now.
What he's I still think he's trying to run out the clock, because if he can, get the nomination, he thinks it'll all go away. Then if he's president, he thinks he can't be prosecuted. It's going to be a what show.
I love it. And I'm here for it.
It's kind of scary.
The
But
problem is time, that people ask about times, and sometimes I'll get a good hit on a time frame, but lots of times I'm off, so I have to be careful giving any kind of time frame.
okay. Deborah Godlewski wants to know, will a certain news channel who's being sued by Dominion lose their chair at White House briefings and be replaced with the legitimate news person?
Oh, I heard a yes when that question got asked. You know, Fox News is going through a whole thing, and I see it kind of being chopped up. Because after this, when all this happens, it's just like, I'm almost feeling Murdoch saying, I'm done. We're going to come out of this particular realm.
At some point, I still am becoming more center.
That's
But
what I
here's
was
the
feeling.
thing. So, they can lose a chair at the White House briefings, but then at some point, if somebody like Trump, God forbid, got in, but if Trump gets in, our country's done.
He's not getting in.
I know, but I don't think he's going to get in.
I'm not even worried about it.
But if there's a really ultra supposed conservative Republican in there, then they could say they want Fox back. But I think at that point,
I think DeSantis would do that, but no.
but
There's not enough of them, you guys. There's not enough of them.
right. Amy Pulliam says, "Dear friends, our precious dog Roxy passed quickly 1 year ago, November. What happened?" It sounds to me like it might be heart related. That's what I'm picking up.
That's what I'm feeling too.
But I see Roxy's going
I
to
feel no suffering.
It was quick, but I see that Roxy's going to send you another dog.
Okay.
So, dogs have souls and they have the afterlife. So,
Right, exactly. Oh, my dog, I was just telling somebody I was reading earlier, my dog Moochie was walking through this house. The dog never lived here. And I saw Moochie as clear as day.
yep. I saw my dog Radar right before we got this dog. I saw her walk by the bed. I'm like, am I seeing stuff? And it was like surf the internet, and something did, and I did, and that's when I saw this dog. So lucky.
And when I brought Lulu home from Oklahoma and walked in the house and sat down on the couch, coming down the hallway was Moochie.
Yeah, they have dogs can come to us in spirit. Okay, Deborah G. I can't pronounce your last name, Deborah. I'm sorry. I think it's Gorakhani. She says, will there ever be a time no more racism? People are just welcoming. I don't think racism will ever go away. I just see it going back into the woodwork for a long time.
No, I see racism going away because all of us, it's going to take a while though. It's a little bit longer. Listen, we're only 100 years out of, we're only 100 years. I mean, the way all people of color have been treated is just unbelievable. But there's a lot of white people that do not like this. They do not like this. And then also there's a lot of couples, the young kids, they're not thinking that way. A lot of young kids, unless they live in the red states, are interracial.
There are some young people that are Trumplicans, but the majority aren't.
No.
And I've been saying within the next 20 or 30 years, when I say that whites will be a minority, I don't mean that as a racism thing. I just think with the blending and all of this and all of that. So I do see.
I mean, people in India, that can be so you got to, if you're a Sikh, you have to marry another Sikh. Children are murdered if they try to take off with someone who isn't of the same religion. I mean, humans can just get too anal about stuff.
But I think here, with what I see coming, America's a melting pot. And I think we can hold on to our roots. But I still think, the way authoritarians come to power is playing on people's insecurity against a certain minority. And like Trump with the Mexicans or with the Muslims or with LGBTQ, they talk about that. But at some point, I think there will always be bigotry, but I don't think it's going to be, look how it's resurrected in this country when we thought we had gone past it. but at some point I see it getting a lot better, but I still think unfortunately there'll be people that will use it as a way to manipulate. But I see
Right.
it getting better. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. Ursula White wants to know. She says, love to you both. Thank you, Ursula. I would like to know if SCOTUS will rule for or against student loan forgiveness and roughly when this might happen. Oh, Linda, you are not alone with the BAH syndrome. Let's start a support group.
I just noticed I told everybody, here's the scoop, because I only told my members. I didn't announce it to everybody. And I did a long thing saying what had happened. Didn't have a stroke and blah, blah, blah. And I just noticed I got almost 700 comments.
I think BAH syndrome means, can I say ass? Big ass head syndrome.
Yeah, big ass head. And bodacious patatas.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, she wants to know if SCOTUS will rule for or against.
I felt like it'll get by the hair of the chinny chin chin.
I do too, at some point. So, okay, Kimberly King. Hello, Linda and Mel. I enjoy both your channels. Well, thank you, Kimberly. Oh, she says, no question, just praying that Linda's feeling much better.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, Seaside Tarot. Hello, Melon Linda from Australia, from down under.
Aussie. Australia.
Yeah. Good eye, mate. Good eye, mate. I love the accent. She says, I've been watching you all for years. My first question is, did the Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov, I can't pronounce his name, get poisoned? And if yes, who poisoned him? That's a good question.
I don't even know who he is.
He's the head of I think, I can't pronounce it.
Did he live?
I don't know, but I do think he got poisoned. The answer is yes.
Okay.
But I'll have to think about who did it. That's a good question, Seaside Tarot. Okay. Catherine Rodier, where is Eric Trump?
Oh, that's true. You see the sun. Oh, I can't even turn on. When I go down my Twitter feed, they'll show Don Jr. and he's just with the fingers like this, and I can't even turn the sound on. I just keep going.
It's almost like he's been eating the diet pills or something. I think they probably told Eric to stay by the wayside because every time he gets on stage and opens his mouth, he gets into trouble. So I think they're just keeping him at bay.
I think he's taken a quieter stance than Don Jr. is.
Oh, okay. Here's something. Woody Foster. This is a good one. Aloha, Melon Linda. Here, 2 weeks ago, the top Chechen general in Ukraine was poisoned. This is in Ukraine. 2 days ago, Chechen leader Kadyrov, Putin's ally, was poisoned. He's in critical condition. What's going on and what will affect this have on Putin and the war? Wow.
Oh, was he poisoned by the Ukrainians then?
I don't know. It just says 2 weeks ago, the top Chechen general in Ukraine, because Putin is using Chechnya, I think, to help him against Ukraine. And so it says 2 days ago, Chechen leader, 2 weeks ago, a top general was poisoned, and now the Chechen leader, Kadyrov, was poisoned. That's Putin's ally, and he's in critical condition. Well, I'm sure that somebody that's anti-Putin did it.
I bet, yeah. He's going to be okay, but he has some residual damage.
Yeah, but I see more of that coming along, happening.
Yeah, isn't that funny? They're giving back what Putin does to everybody. He poisons everybody, or you fall out a window.
Song Wolf 108 says, hi, Melon Linda. Yeah, especially first floor windows.
Yeah.
Hi, Melon Linda. I would rather have big ass head syndrome than little squished head syndrome. Laugh out loud. Somebody asked, what is the cure for it? How about a lobotomy? I don't know.
There you go. There you go.
Now, my question is about souls on the other side. Without ego and gravity weighing us down, is it true that everyone gets along? Is there ever
yes.
I don't see discord on the other side.
I don't either. And you know, you can't hide what you're thinking. They know everything you're thinking.
That's right.
And people who always were going negative on people, thinking negative things, that's all out in the open. And you learn to be real and connected at all times.
That's true. Well, I love this name, Jitterbug Tutu. I love that. That's a good name. Hello, Miss Linda and Auntie Mel. The nuclear plant in Fukushima, Japan is still leaking radioactive waste into the Pacific Ocean.
Which one? The Japan one?
Yeah. The nuclear plant in Fukushima, Japan is still leaking radioactive waste into the Pacific Ocean. Do you see it stopping anytime soon? And will it affect the sea creatures and sea life? Will it affect the fishing industry? Thank you to both for those wonderful weekly shows. I see it affecting sea life, absolutely, like mutations and things like that. And that could be a reason why a lot of whales are kind of beaching themselves and all of that stuff. You know,
yeah, it's still going to go on for some time here. But I see the leaking getting smaller and smaller.
Well, the sad part is, though, some of that, the half-life on some of that, half-life means a radioactive decay means when something radioactive turns to lead. And the half-life is when half of the nuclear stuff turns to lead. And the half-life on some of that stuff is thousands and thousands.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so just
a little. Did you see that President Carter had in the Navy went in and did something with some nuclear thing that was really active with nuclear, and they went in at a minute and a half. They went in and somebody would unscrew something, come out. Somebody would take this out. They had to break this thing apart. And he was exposed to radiation, was in his urine for a long time. And look at that man. He lives, he's going to die soon, but he could have lived to be 100. He's 99.
But the problem is, if you're, and I'm not, you all can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nuclear physicist by any strength of the imagination.
Yeah.
I'm not that smart. But if you get an exposure briefly, that can do damage, but it's the exposure over long periods of time that really causes a lot of damage. And I think, there was mega amounts of nuclear waste going into the ocean. And so I'm sure that if we eat anything out of the ocean, we've already ingested some of that. And so, it's just frightening.
And did you notice the whole world didn't take up this issue as very powerfully?
Excuse me.
Japan just almost acted like it's fine.
Right. Right. And she says, will it affect the fishing industry? Well, maybe it should, because we're really overfishing our oceans. And so, but that my psychic light bulb just went on. People were asking, why are whales beaching themselves and things like that? And I think this might be the answer.
Okay.
Because of the nuclear poisoning. Okay.
I'm almost feeling, depending on where you get your fish, you're better off in Scotland and way up there in Scotland to eat certain fish. But I'm almost feeling like fish is not going to be very healthy for us.
I won't eat anything out of Lake Michigan. And I will only eat
Is that your phone?
Yeah, I turned it off. It was my phone. I will only eat shrimp if it's farm raised, like on shrimp farms. I won't. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
I won't even eat. I eat salmon that's farm raised. They say it's not as better. I think it's better for you than when they catch it wild. So
right.
Okay. Hold on. This is a long one. So, okay. Tens are, this is really a good one. Can you look at bills being passed on abortion? One state wants to allow the death penalty for it.
Idiots.
Also, Mississippi bill bringing back Jim Crow laws. So they want us to take a look at that psychically and see if those
This too shall pass is what I always hear. They can try to do a death penalty thing and that'll go up to the Supreme Court and be kicked out.
that's what I see.
Then they have to kill the man too, don't they?
Exactly. At some point, I see Roe v. Wade upheld.
It will be. But the only craze are the ones of these red states. It's just out of control and it's embarrassing. Other nations are looking at us saying, what the heck's going on there?
And it's just going to continue to be that avalanche because these MAGA people, they pander to the Christian nationalists, and we're going to get so tired of that small minority trying to cram their beliefs down our throats.
Right. And I think there's some lawsuit going on with the Jewish community because they believe in abortion. That's part of their religion to have that option. And I think something will come in that they'll test this that makes them have to go back to the way it was.
Well, at some point, I see Roe v. Wade upheld. So,
yeah,
I mean, it shouldn't be a death penalty. That really fries me, no pun intended, because they're saying, oh, well, they're all about pro-life and they're all about, no, they're pro-birth, but yet
they'll kill somebody.
But yet they'll kill somebody. I mean, that
right. But then that's when you got to start making the men who impregnated the woman responsible.
Well, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, but if you start really getting into that, things will change. And men had to have babies. Nothing against you because you're a man, but although you're an auntie, not a man. If men had to go through this, it'd be a horse of a different color.
Well, I still think at some point, if they're going to try to do a death penalty and that goes to the Supreme Court, they're going to say absolutely not.
No, that's what I said.
No. The Supreme Court's opened a can of worms with kicking Roe v. Wade back to the states. And it's like,
yeah, it's going to be okay. I don't want you guys to worry, except there are women that are suffering right now.
There are.
And men too, because there's some men, an accidental pregnancy, they can't afford another kid, but they're stuck.
I think, I see this continuing for the next 3 or 4 years, but at some point, I see more justices on the court, and they will have integrity.
Yes.
And a lot of these will go. I think a lot of these states, people in those states aren't taking it to this court because they're afraid. But at some point, when the court switches again, then there will be a lot of lawsuits, and Roe v. Wade will be upheld. So, okay.
I also see some sort of underground thing going on. I don't know what that means. Someone just showed me kind of quiet, hush, hush, some sort of underground thing going on.
Ooh, when you said that, my psychic light bulb went, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Somebody just showed, and these women working underground, like they take these people someplace and it's out of the sight of these craze.
Isn't that sad?
That's very sad.
Okay, Rebecca Gilberto, she's coming to Italy with us. Hi, Rebecca. No, she's coming to Africa with us. I'm sorry, I keep saying Italy. She's coming to Africa. Maybe she'll come to Italy with us. Okay. She goes, any comments on BAHS, big ass head syndrome? She says, you all keep me laughing with all the other stuff going on. This is so weird. Besides, what the world needs now is love. She says, love you both. Well, I think the cure for BAHS is a lobotomy.
There you go.
For those of you who don't know what a lobotomy is when they would go and they would like sever the frontal lobe of your brain, and they thought it would cure mental illness, but they ended up getting a bunch of people that were zombie-like. But that would cure BAHS, I think.
No, it's the size of the head. Got nothing to do with the brain. The head, my head is so big.
Well, I still think a lobotomy would help.
Oh, Jesus. Poor that Kennedy child had one of those.
I know. I'm just making a joke about lobotomy. Okay. Mara Pemberton. Hi, Linda and Mel. Will the federal and state governments realize that stopping the emergency pandemic food stamps was a bad idea when seniors, others, and families will not be able to buy food and stay healthy. I have never understood why our government is so cheap with our basic needs. I will only get $85 a month in California.
Yeah. Because they upped the Social Security or something.
But I still see at some point they'll have something for people.
Yeah, well, the thing is, they get their timing sucks because right now food is so bloody expensive. You're lucky if you can afford beans and rice.
I see at some point though, I see them putting something into place that can help seniors, and others and families who are impoverished to help pay for food other than, food stamps. I see some sort of emergent or some sort of money being appropriated above and beyond what people are getting now.
Right. Oh, here's some breaking news. Former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort just agreed to pay the US government $3.15 million over his lies he told on his tax returns. They're going to get Trump with taxes too, by the way. Just FYI.
By the way, Manafort is still not out of hot water. I still see him being indicted. Did you hear what I said?
What?
I said Manafort is not out of hot water. I still
no. I've always felt that. Yeah. Do you know who Olivia Pollack is?
Who?
Olivia Pollack?
No.
I don't either. I'll have to look this up. She didn't show up for a court hearing and they unsealed a bench warrant for her.
I'll have to look it up and see who it is.
Yeah, I'll have to look up.
Okay. All right. Oh, this is good. Redheaded Gypsy says, this is a good one, Linda.
Right.
Hi, beautiful Melon Linda. You two are saving the world one prediction at a time. Thanks a million.
Thank you.
Can either of you throw some cards for how the mental illness crisis in the United States will be addressed and when?
They're already on that. I know California's on that. They want to put some money out and get people out there on the streets for these homeless. A lot of these homeless people are just mentally ill. I talked about a story of a guy, he was a drunk. They call him revolving door. He would come into the ER all the time, so drunk he couldn't function. You banana bagged him. And he refused to get clean clothes. He would wear the same clothes that stunk like crap. And I told him, I was giving him his stuff and I said, why? Why are you like this? And he didn't say anything to me. And as he was leaving, he turned and he said, my wife left me 15 years ago. So he just decided he was just going to live on the street. Yeah.
There used to be a place here in Chicago called Dunning, and it was a mental hospital, and it was residential. And when they closed that, they defunded it, people were just turned out on the streets. They had nowhere to go. And, Dunning had its problems, but, I do see a lot of money being appropriated, my guides tell me, from the federal government to the states to really address the mental health issues.
And start putting some people in the hospital.
Correct.
Napa State Hospital, my uncle was a paranoid schizophrenic. And that's where my grandfather died, was in that house. He was a paranoid schizophrenic. And they let him go out on the streets. And they would call my dad and said, he's breaking windows in San Francisco. And my dad was like, he's a ward of the state.
Well, I see at some point residential facilities funded by the states with funds from the federal government where these people can go and live. That's what I see. Okay. It's quite a while ways off, but it's really sad the way that we treat mental illness in this country. But I do see legislation happening. All right. Oh, here we go. This is what I was alluding to earlier. It says at CPAC this last weekend, one of the speakers, this is by Kay Muldoon, Michael Knowles called for the eradication of transgendered people. This is very dangerous rhetoric. It needs to be taken seriously. Do you see anything coming from this? We've already answered that, but how could you call for eradication?
It's getting uglier because they're able to speak out loud and not any repercussions. Here's what's going to happen. Pretty soon there's going to be repercussions. once we get a Democrat in there yet again, and they're flailing and Trump is gone, then that's when people are going to go, dude, there's repercussions.
Okay, we got time for a couple more. Okay, 129, I think that's an OLI, says, question 1, can pandemics have the ability to take down fascism and authoritarianism? And question 2, will a new generation of fascists fill in after a fascist wave recedes? So question 1, I think, yeah, pandemics can take down governments.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons our pandemic took place, which killed a good portion of the Trumpsters.
It killed a lot of people, unfortunately, which didn't have to happen, by the way.
I know.
And number 2, will a new generation of fascists fill in after a fascist wave recedes? My guides tell me there will always be fascism, but
there's always going to be that ugly, but the ugly won't start going away for many. We might even not be alive then. It's generations coming.
correct. Okay, so this is Sylvia Munoz. She has a couple questions. Do you see Hunter Biden going to prison?
No.
No, I don't. Okay. Will the GOP leaders question Hunter Biden on the committees?
I don't see him going in there because he's lawyered up.
Right.
I see them fighting them tooth and nail. It's going to be very frustrating for them.
He's the one that had addictions, right? If I'm
but you can't prove that particular computer was in the hands of the police or the FBI. It jumped from one person. I think even Bannon said he had that computer and added some stuff to it. So
I saw Bannon, that CPAC thing, I wanted to throw up.
Oh, I didn't even look at him.
She says, let's see. How's Hunter Biden's wife, Melissa, and his daughters dealing with the drama? Well, I think they love him and they're going to stand behind him.
They standing by them. And I see the president giving them a lot of love too. He's doing the best he can to be clean and sober too.
That's true. I mean, he's probably got some mental health issues, but here again, a lot of people with addictions do have mental health issues. So we need to look at mental health. We need to start treating addictions in this country instead of making them illegal, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to have another event I have to do here. So.
All right. We got time for just one more. You want to do one more?
One more.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. April Lara says, hello, beautiful souls. Any truth about COVID coming from a lab?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I knew that way back when an American guy who was living in China and was looking for a job, a scientist job, found an article that said they needed scientists for the Wuhan virus, or in the Wuhan lab for the virus. And they were asking for scientists. And then right after that, something happened. So they were working on it in the lab when this happened. I don't think it was deliberate, though.
I don't think it was deliberate. Well, that lab was really bad. Their containment systems were horrible. But I think they got the virus from an animal and they were experimenting with it. And I think that's how it accidentally got out. So. Yeah. Anyway, but I don't think they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
I think their labs were just shoddy and they didn't have quality control. Okay, next week I'll be in St. Croix.
So I'm not going to do the show next week?
Well, we can try, but I can't promise because sometimes. When
are you coming back from St. Croix?
Well, we're leaving on the 12th and we'll be back 7 days later on the 19th. So we'll be back on we can do a show on the 20th.
I'll put Mel with Linda. I'll send you a link on the 20th. We'll skip next week.
Okay, there you go.
All right, honey.
All right, love you.
Love you guys. Take care.